Jan? Here. Keisha? Here. Greg?
Here.
Debbie? Here. Okay. Presentation by Upper Trinity will now begin.
Mayor and Council, thank y'all for the opportunity to present an update about Lake Ralph Hall to you tonight. It's something we've been talking to the council, attempting to try to schedule for several weeks, months also, really a couple months, related to our progress. And there's a lot of things that we want to go through tonight. It's a pretty lengthy presentation. We're going to go through it in a direct manner. And we have a session at the end for questions by the council. But if there's a pressing question, a clarification question, feel free to interrupt us or anything like that. So tonight, the primary presenters will be myself and Mr. Ed Motley, who is our program manager for the Lake Ralph Hall project. He's been involved in this project for over 20 years. Let's see. So the topics we plan to review tonight is the development of Lake Ralph Hall. We want to talk about our partnership that we've enjoyed over the years with Ladonia. We want to have an overview of the contract as we interpret the contract between our two parties. And so I'm going to start off with Ed to give you an overview of the project components and the status and what you're going to see related to this lake development in the next months to come.
You know, as you might guess, building a lake is more than just building a dam. But the dam is the important piece. So we are building a dam. The most visible thing you see out there is the roadway relocations, and we'll talk about that in a second. We have also conveyance that will be moving this water to our service area in Denton County. We have our mitigation, and we also have some support facilities, and we also have the Ladonia Fossil Park. So let's kind of dive into these one by one. So the North Sulphur River Bridge, State Highway 34, is a big piece of our relocation. We also relocated 1550. Many of you have driven along that new alignment. We're getting close to opening that. And the Merrill Creek Bridge. We did open the North Sulphur River Bridge on July 13th. How many have driven over it? So it's quite a different view as you go over that valley. And I personally think it's a pretty smooth bridge. I think they did a pretty good job. We'll be opening 1550 sometime in the fall of '73, as we will also be opening the Merrill Creek Bridge. So the next piece is the Leon Hurst Dam. It is a dam that has we started construction in June of 2021. It's about 27% complete right now. The embankment length is 2.3 miles, and behind it we're going to store about 180,000 acre-feet of water. And you see there that little inset is the spillway, which we're going to look at a little bit more. But most of the dam is an earth-fill embankment. And it's not just a pile of dirt. It's a pretty complex pile of dirt. Without getting too technical, those different colors or different zones of clay that we put, different types of soil we put there that optimizes and makes sure that we have an impervious embankment there to hold the water back. This upstream is to your left. And that is a hardened, so called a soil cement. It'll look like stair steps up there, but it's a soil cement. It won't be like rocks that you see on some of them. And that's to protect the face from erosion. And downstream will be grass. And there'll be about a 10-foot wide roadway on top of it. I'll talk a little bit about the spillway. This is really a massive structure, and I'll give you some sense of that in a minute. This is under construction now. As a matter of fact, we had a 500-yard pour for the foundation of the intake structure last night. You might have seen some concrete trucks coming through here this morning. So that was poured last night. That's very well under construction. It's made out of roller compacted concrete, which is kind of a very dry mix of concrete that you just place down and roll it in with a compactor, and then you can roll it. It sets up almost immediately. But the outer face of it is going to be conventional concrete. And this is what it looks like. As of about 2 months ago, this is a drone shot of it. And this is looking basically above it, but the lake side is to the top, and the outlet channel is coming down. And so this is, you see those two wings we had there. The spillway structure is there in the middle with the kind of wing walls. And to kind of give you some sense, you see pickup trucks there. Those little white things there on the side are pickup trucks. So those are full-size F-250 pickup trucks. So it's a pretty massive structure. But those that can see that yellow crane, that boom is 130 foot up in the air, but at the angle, the top of that crane will be about the top of that structure when it's done. So like I said, it's a very massive structure, and it's well underway. They're coming up with it. There's supposed to be a roller compacted concrete placement tonight. We have a pump station, and again, to give you some sense of scale, it's a pretty big pump station. It's going to be pumping water to our service area in Benton County. There's a pickup truck there for scale. It'll have 5 pumps in it, and that will be pumping our water. And you kind of see in the background again, over on the edge on the far right, you can see that spillway structure over there. So the dam is right behind it. It's under construction. We're drilling piers now. They should be finished drilling piers this week. It's scheduled to be completed excuse me, in 2025. And it also does have provisions for Ladonia to put a pump there and take water as a requirement of the contract. That pump station pumps into a pipeline that conveys the water down to an existing Irving pipeline down in near Celeste. There's a bouncing reservoir kind of at the top of the hill on top of that. It's a 32-mile pipeline. We've actually started clearing and putting in our gates for our easements, and we should start tunneling in about 2 or 3 weeks and start actually laying the pipe in 2023. The pipe, by the way, is being made right up here in Paris. It's one of our local contractors.
Probably going to be about 4,000 truckloads. It's not a little effort at all. Sorry, Ed, I had to throw it.
They're like 50-foot joints. So it's a 66-inch pipe, so you can. I can't quite walk through it, but they're good.
Yeah, I could probably roll through it.
You can drive a truck through it, can you not?
Not quite. It's 5.5 feet. So
5.5 feet, okay.
not quite that big. It's a small truck, maybe. You can drive side by side through it. And that, like I said, that was scheduled to be completed in the summer of 25 also. Let me back up there. We also have made provisions for an outlet. Another place for Ladonia to take water is right there, the little circle, and that's right next to your 100-acre site. So an advantage, if you were to put a water treatment plant there, you already have the advantage of having the head. You don't have to build a pump station and that much pipeline. So we would give you both options, and whenever it comes time to build a water treatment plant, you can take advantage of whichever one you wish. You've probably seen our clearing. You've probably smelled it a couple times. We are clearing right now on the east side of 34. This next winter we'll be clearing some more on the west side of 34. We also plan to harvest some timber on the west side. Some of which we retain for incorporating some of our visitor facilities that Larry will be talking about later. You can kind of see the outline of the lake because we're clearing up to the limits of the lake, but there are some patches in the middle that for various reasons we can't get to right now. But we will be clearing, most of what you see on the east side of the lake will eventually be cleared. We will be leaving some trees on the west side of the lake for fish habitat. Another thing we're doing, it's not in here, is we have a grant to build a fishing jetty. So we'll be building a fishing jetty up by the old Remington Farms track. And we also have, as part of that grant, the Parks and Wildlife will be building fish habitat structures throughout the lake using some of the timber that we've harvested from the clearing on the east side of the lake. So we're already looking forward. We've stocked the old Remington Pond with brood fish from the shell. So another one that we have going is mitigation. This is not under construction yet. It's under final design, and this is downstream of the dam. To kind of get you oriented, you see the dam here, the North Sulphur River. That green area there is basically it's going to be meandering streams with vegetation through it, and that is our vegetation. It's about the actual total about 5.5 miles of streams that we'll be using for mitigation. I think that is Mr. Patterson.
Yeah, so what the mitigation area, our plan, and actually what we thought about back when we started the project came to pass. And, you know, a lot of twists and turns going through all the regulatory processes for 15 years or so. But the old river channel, everybody knows, is like perched up on the high bank. What we're doing is we're restoring the old river channel below the dam and creating it, and we're improving the tributaries that come to it so that it'll be sustainable. And then it'll come back and dive down into the channel below the dam, you know, as it storm events and this type of thing. Also, the width of the lake, the dam, at its widest point is about 3 football fields wide. So this thing is, and then you have the elevation, of course, the tallest point is probably close to 100 feet tall. So that's why it's a massive thing that takes a long time to do. And our inspection teams are very, very careful about it as far as the placement and the testing they do. And then there was a little bitty thing below, the little blue deal called a slurry cutoff wall. It's basically not taking a sidewalk 3 foot wide and turning it sideways and sticking it 60 feet into the ground and keying into the rock. So water can't come under it. Then you see that other point where he had a center drain, we call it a chimney drain. It's essentially sand. So if any water does seep into the, like all dams have some seepage eventually, it'll catch that and it's directed down to a place where we can capture it and move it away so you don't have a blowout. So we're putting all kinds of safety and design factors into this project, separate and apart from you know, what the regulatory guys require, but it's been vetted by dam safety and personnel of the state, as well as peer review teams that we had that weren't involved in the design. So let's talk about some planning elements here. Over there by the south side of the new State Highway 34 bridge, and our we have it listed as our field office. In that area, we intend to build an administration/visitor center. And this is an artist's rendition, okay? It may look exactly like this, or it may look something like this, okay? But the idea is to make it look very appealing for the visitors, and also a good place to work for our folks that are going to be here, both the employees we have now and those that we're going to bring on board that will be working and living here full time. So just the general idea is a walkway up, and we have the back side here. You can see the offices and then the visitor center, so that we can have exhibits for fossils, various types of events and things could go on. And you can see it's kind of like a dog run between the two buildings, so they can be segregated and used in different ways. So if our offices are closed, the other facility is available and open for other kinds of uses. We think it'll be a big draw for visitors when they come in. Not only the exhibits we have, but however we use the other parts of the facility. Based on cost, anybody bought any gasoline lately or gone to the grocery store? We're seeing that too, because everything we have wasn't bid initially before the inflation hit. How much of this we end up with, it may be built in phases. In other words, we may build what we gotta have and then add to it, but we want to build everything, of course, as soon as possible. But we have that under design now. Now, shoreline management plan is another planning activity we have. We just began in earnest the work in June. And we had to wait until the zoning commission by Fannin County had approved the comprehensive plan and the zoning plan regulations. This is a very unique circumstance. The county has zoning powers for 5,000 feet away from the lake's edge. That is unique. Fannin County has that authority, and we helped get it. Judge Darrell Hall, about 20 years ago, proposed that, and we assisted them with the legislature to get that authority allowed for Fannin County. And so they have a zoning commission unique for Lake Ralph Hall, and they have one for Bodark Lake. So this commission has just been formed. Mr. Marsh, you're the city's representative on that body. And they've had many meetings, I think most of them over here, or many of them at least at Ladonia City Hall. So once they completed this and they've come up with a zoning concept, initial regulations, and it'll be amended as time goes on, as different developers or different thing pops up, or whoever owns the land decides they want to change the way it's zoned somewhat. So we're using that as a template to begin our shoreline management plan. And so its purpose is to give us some guidance of how we're going to manage the public access and use of the shoreline. So another study that's underway is the utility master plan study. And what that is we became pretty obvious to us that through the zoning program that there will be development around the lake. And the county has zoning authority for the unincorporated areas. The city has zoning authority within their boundaries, however your boundaries eventually evolve. And so our program and our contract, it sets up that we should assist in zoning. So we paid for the zoning study that the county had. That was $211,500 according to Mr. Janeway over there. And that work is done. Well, so we thought we need to do some more work. So our board authorized us to engage a contractor to help us develop this plan. So it identifies potential development areas, takes that zoning plan, and refines the water use projections. That zoning plan has projected populations in various areas, and it shows how much they think Ladonia might grow. They came up with it, not us. How much the others, McGraw Chapel, Dial, all these people are listed there. So we're meeting with everyone. They met with Gober today, I think, trying to get an idea of what's going on. And they'll eventually come up with a concept plan of how these things might be developed. So then when developers or whoever come to meet with the city or any of these other people, you say, well, here's a general template. Oh, we didn't know that. You might be able to be served from here, or you might end up with a wastewater plant here or a connection to bring wastewater to you. To Ladonia has a wastewater treatment plant. And that's great. We really think that's a fantastic thing. But this thing will all come about. We want as many people that have developed around the lake to be connected to the wastewater collection system. And there's provisions in the zoning that relate to that. Because all of the people we've spoken to that run and operate lakes tell us, eventually, if you don't watch it, if you have everybody on septic, you're going to have problems with your lake. You have water quality issues, algae blooms, all kinds of things. We don't want anything like that because we want it to be a great high water quality, and we want it to be a place you want to come and visit and swim and not be barred from any of those kind of activities. So we just began to work, and after they get these collections, and I think they're working on a program to visit with Ladonia about your system too, based on their scheduling an upcoming event, a meeting with your representatives, whoever they may be. So then they'll come forward with a study, and we're keeping this also the county informed of what's going on here. We'll be bringing stuff to the county zoning commission. So anyway, the master plan. So what's next for Lake Ralph Hall? Ed said he's going to complete the dam, and I believe him, because he did get the bridge completed. That was the first thing. We got it done so that later on they'll be doing some things around the dam, and they're going to start backing water up that channel. It won't be full, but there'll be some water. The raw water conveyance system, I mean, he mentioned these tunnels and stuff. We've got 20-something tunnels. We're tunneling under highways, we're tunneling under creeks and all kinds of things, which is no small task, but we'll have 4 contractors working simultaneously to get this done. And the shoreline management plan, the utility master plan, we're going to complete design of our operations support facilities. Down by the pump station, we'll have kind of a maintenance area, barn, warehouse, storage area, these kind of things. They'll be nice, but they're not going to be the prettiest thing you've ever seen because they're just functional for us, and that may be part of our cost-cutting measures. Recreation features within the shoreline management plan, it'll bring forth where boat ramps should be, this type of thing. Additionally, we've engaged a consultant to assist us in trying to figure out where to put the best place to put a marina. So what we would do with that is work through this consultant to come up with a proposal. So we would get submissions from different outside individuals, third parties that want to construct and operate a marina, and then we'll go forward with a special contract for them. But that's nothing that we do. We want to stay with our core process, which is treat water and wastewater to the highest degree possible. So that'll be something going on. And then we're programming currently to have this thing and begin some transport of water to our treatment plants in Louisville area by 26. And it's more like the summer of 26 kind of thing. And luckily, we've been very fortunate this summer. It's hot now, but we've had a lot of rain, so we've had a lot of rain. Lake Chapman is above full. It's 4 feet higher than it was this time last year. Lake Louisville's down 1 foot instead of like 4 feet. So we're very fortunate, and we're blessed, and we thank the Lord for that. I tell you, it's made our job a lot easier than last year. Plus, we're doing improvements all the time. So, moving forward, let's talk about the contract. This contract, as you can see, was executed in 2004. It's a 40-year deal, 40-year contract with an option for renewal mutually agreed upon for another 25 years. And why did we do a contract with Ladonia anyway? Our vision was to establish a long-term relationship with Ladonia. We want a partnership. This is your community. Y'all asked us to come here. We knew nothing about Ladonia. I never heard of Ladonia until 20 years ago. But there's individuals that we were looking for water. They were looking for water, and you probably read the whole story Doug Franklin wrote about it. But we're looking for a long-term partnership to develop this lake and to operate. We want to operate it in a manner that you'd be pleased and that you're benefiting in every way you can, and that it doesn't disrupt anything as far as the operation, daily activities. Now, when you have 500 people coming here to go for a bass fishing tournament, okay, you're going to get disrupted, but we'll try to plan parking lots to help you. So there's a lot of those things. But anyway, what did the contract partnership really mean? Our goal was to provide a long-term water supply for Fannin County. We're talking about the Sulphur River portion of Fannin County, not the whole county. It's mainly the southern tip, southeastern tip, and then Upper Trinity. And the contract speaks to, and our goal was that Ladonia would be the steward of the water that comes from Lake Ralph Hall provided for that area. In other words, Ladonia would be in charge of the water. You would then help administer it. And this long-range water supply plan and all these other things we have would help guide through that. But Ladonia would take care of that. And there are some special provisions in here that we'll get to. But also, we thought that the way we're constructed the lake, the way we've done the mitigation, and the way we intend to operate the lake would improve the environmental conditions. Right now we know that it continues to erode. It has since 1929, June of 29, when they completed the 10-foot ditch and 16 feet wide. It's now 200 feet wide and 60 feet deep and 40 miles long. That thing has continued to harm farmlands, erosion, whatever. We think that putting the lake here will help that. I'm not going to say totally stop everything, but our studies have shown it'll make a big difference. You got to fill it back up with dirt or put it with water, fill it up with water. And we have different structures and things that should help prevent some of the sheet action erosion. And then economic development. That's a nebulous term. Nobody knows what it's like. It means something different to every person in this room. All I can tell you is that the idea is to make it as good as it can be, to get every benefit you can as a city and a community and a county. And if that means businesses come and move in, or more people want to come and visit here, or retire here, or whatever, who knows? There's studies done by the Corps, and then that they did independent of us, and they say that this should generate economic development. Every lake that we're aware of has development around once the lake too. Values of things go up too. So we're hoping for the best, and so we're trying to make sure we do stuff that we don't mess anything up. That's our goal. Because if we're not partners and we're not doing things that make better for you, we're failing. So what have we done? What have we done for Ladonia so far? This is just a sampling of some of the things we've done. Y'all did a lot for us. We got the first permit issued by the state of Texas since 1985 for a reservoir. First one. Have you ever been the point person on doing anything? It's a lot harder than being the guy that's taking something somebody else did and just changing that spreadsheet and add a few numbers. If you create it from nothing, it's a tough road to hoe. We did it with your help. Ladonia representatives from Ladonia attended hearings in Austin. They sent in letters. They got other cities to send in letters. They went to the county, the Council of Governments and did it. You did your part. We didn't ask for much more than that. We did improve the city hall. Why did we improve the city hall? We needed an office. We improved the city hall. It meant giving you some chairs. It meant furnishings. It meant putting the water heater in, and putting the new work on the booth, fix the entry, doing several little things. And Doug Franklin was our first part-time worker working out of that office for about 5 years until we acquired our other facility and moved to the field office. There are payments in our contract with the county that relate to taxes. If I was to say, hey, what percent of Ladonia is in the property area of the lake, I'll give you the number. It's 2% of the lake is within Ladonia. 2% of the actual land area. And so over the 10-year period, we're paying the school district and Ladonia, which means Fannondale, it means Honey Grove School District, it means Bonham School District, it means the county itself, and we'll pay over $330,000. So we got 2 more years and we'll be through. So we paid $7,500 so far. Then there was a utility service truck that we had that we refurbished and brought up here and gave it to Ladonia because we found you had a need for a truck. Street maintenance kind of leading up to the groundbreaking and all that, and a few other things. We put, you can see, almost $17,000 in the street maintenance. Fossil Park cost us $200,000. This master study, now this can't all be attributed to supporting Ladonia, but that's how much the study cost, $334,000. We provided funding to the county, $25,000 to pay Taylor Street. As soon as they're about ready to do it, I think as soon as there's a little leak or something on the road, once they get that taken care of, they intend to get in there and pave it. So other commitments that Upper Trinity made through this contract, and this is our interpretation. We're supposed to get the permits. We're supposed to get the funding. We're supposed to develop the building. We're doing that. Make available 5% of the water from the reservoir for local use, as with Ladonia being the steward. Provide space in the pump station. He's already talked about that. He's also provided a secondary method. Assist the city and and really the county too, on land planning and zoning. That's how I justify to my board that I get to spend $300,000 on a water and wastewater study that is not even in our area. And there's an option, if that 5% is not enough, once, who knows, when they grow, there's an option for additional up to 5% if it's available. You know, in other words, if the lake is full, it stays full, whatever, we can work through it for the Sulphur River Basin area within Hammond County. So what's Ladonia's commitments? Provide full support for the permit and the necessary improvements to help us develop. Y'all been doing that all these years. Serve as the steward for the water. The contract has y'all being the leader for the water that comes out of Lake Ralph Hall for local use. And that would include, obviously, a treatment plant. The treatment plant and the transport would be the responsibility of the city. And then also to implement what was called a water supply fee and a lake protection fund. The water supply fee was a fee to be charged to all new meters, $500. And then the lake protection fund is a amount of money, starts out at 25 cents, can be raised up to 50, but it would be charged, and that would be a sacred fund that Ladonia would keep to have a pot of money, basically, to help protect the water quality. So if something comes up and you need to do something with watershed protection, or put up signage, or clean something, this way you would have money to do that. And then basically assist us in protecting water quality, which relates to, it talks about enforcing and developing ordinances or regulations that we might request y'all to implement within your city to make sure the water quality is protected. Now, because we have a permit, the state gives us certain special authorities to protect and issue regulations, how people use their land and everything else. This will come out of some of the watershed protection studies and the water shoreline management plan possibly, but we have not developed those standards yet, and we'd rather do it in conjunction with all the users around the lake too. So our purpose here tonight is focus on the council, work with the council. And we've spoken before, we offered up some assistance, like when you had need of an IT specialist, we were going to send a team up here to help with your computers. And I know that for various reasons that wasn't appropriate, but we wanted to offer it up anyway. We tried to do a few things along the line. But before we jump into questions from the council, I would like to just ask you a question. What can we do to continue to assist Ladonia moving forward? We need to understand what your needs are. We might perceive or guess something, but we're probably wrong. And then I can take it back to my board of directors. I have 24 board members. I can talk to those folks. We only meet once a month and see what we can do going forward. Are there any pressing needs that you think we might be able to help with that our staff can help me document, and then we can go back and evaluate? But we're interested in trying to help the city of Ladonia because we're partners. We've been partners for 20 years. And we'd like to continue that relationship. I don't know, if you think about some, kind of put me on the spot, but if you think about something, you can communicate to us, well, what about this? We go, well, we're a wholesale water utilities. We're a regional agency that treats water and wastewater. We don't do retail. We don't have the kind of people that fix or put meters in or do those kind of things. Our members, our 29 cities we serve with. So we do treatment plants and that type of thing. But we have some skill sets that might be able to help you. As well as we have in the past, at least once, sent representatives to your wastewater plant to help figure out some issues with that. We have certified operators. We actually even have an operator up in this area. But there's things that we can do, that we will do, because we do this for our members. And we consider you essentially a partner, a member, supportive member of Upper Trinity. So if there's something that's not spending a bunch of money, it's just helping out something, reviewing something, make sure you get the paperwork turned into the state, whatever it is, we can do those kind of things if we know what you need. But we'll just be standing ready to help you if we can. That's our main purpose, is to explain where we are and what's going on. So you're going to see a lot of activity. It's protected around the dam. Obviously, it's a dangerous area. You want to get there when they're not driving around, but now it's so hot, you have to pour concrete at night, so there's no good time to be there. Yes. But, if you have any questions, myself or just about me, and Mr. Jangle will be willing to answer those.
Only for the council and mayor, or can anyone else?
Well, our purpose was to speak to the council. The agenda that was posted, I mean, essentially we follow the documents that we shared with you. The agenda is posted, shows that you'll receive our presentation and go to executive session. It didn't really spell out citizen visitor comments or whatever. I will serve at the pleasure of the council. If y'all want to defer questions to another time, or you want to open up your call. If within the basis of whatever your agenda says. I don't know whether you're locked in with what you got presented or not. Since you're lawyers, I don't know.
What is the shoreline management timeframe at this point? Got any idea?
It's just begun. I think it's probably close to a year, typically, but we can give you a better summary on the schedule that they have. We just awarded it, we just started working on it. But the team that we hired, we just had our kickoff meeting with them, last week? They're very experienced people. They did a plan for the boat operators, so the learning curve may be short, hopefully.
We have read in the contract where if people come in and building new homes, that Upper Trinity is putting $500 more on the meter, and that goes directly to Upper Trinity.
That's right. It's actually this water supply fee. But that was set up when the contract was written. This is something similar to what's done in our in Denton County area and everything. It is a fee that's collected. It goes as a token contribution towards all the money we put into developing the project. But it's a $500 charge for that meter. And technically, if you read the contract, explicitly it says upon initiation of construction that this would start.
Right.
So if you had 10 meters since we started construction 2 years ago, that's 10 times 500 that y'all owe us. Okay? Now the lake protection fee is that 25 cents I was talking about, which is a sacred fund that y'all owe. And y'all control it with guidance from us under the contract. But the unique thing about our contract is it was issued in 2004. And everybody went, we don't even have a permit yet. We don't know what, we're feeling our way through the dark with the state and everybody else. So what happened was it has special provisions in there that say, as long as it relates to increasing or changing the cost allocations or what money you owe us or we owe you, that the mayor and the executive director can approve addendums and amendments to implement whatever that requirements are. So we could come in and make an amendment that does not require our board action or your council action because it's already in that contract, as long as it doesn't relate to the money, increasing money charge and stuff like that. So with regard to that fee, yes, theoretically you're supposed to be charging $500 for every meter that is instituted since June of 2001.
But that's over what we charge for them.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Supplemental charge to be set aside, and then at some points in time it's sent to us. Early on, this was a pattern in practice across most of the water districts, so that these developments,
If they fail or something, then there's money to help pay for some of the debt they have, or at least work through the process. But yeah, you're right, it is $500. That's what the contract says as it is today. We've not requested any funds or anything yet, or anything like that, how we would go about it. Y'all have brought it up to us once before when we started construction, say, hey, what about this? And what did we say? We're holding it in abeyance until we evaluate the whole circumstance. It could be that we can make an amendment and defer payments until some other date. And it would be between you and me, the mayor and the executive director, and I think our board would agree with it. Your attorney, make sure you agree too, it's appropriate. But we're not about money. We're about process and getting this thing done and making it the best we can. But thank you for bringing that question up.
And how long is that? How long is that staying there?
40 years.
40 years?
Well, the build out, I mean, it doesn't have a time, doesn't have a closeout date.
Right.
That 25 cents, you can
Excuse me.
clarify if it was for a per gallon. He needs to clarify, is it per gallon or what?
Council.
The charge is related to per 1,000 gallon unit. So 25 cents per 1,000 gallon unit. So if you average, let's just say you average 700, well, let's see, what do you think? Let's say you average 70,000 gallons a day? I'm guessing.
Yeah,
But just say-
that's a good number,
I don't know. Let's say it's 70,000 gallons a day. Okay, that's 70 times 20, whatever. I should have done 100 actually. Well, okay, let's just say 100,000. Could be, 200, whatever. In the last 2 years, if that's what you've averaged, that's $14,000 or $15,000. There again, we haven't asked for any payments.
Well, they keep that in their funds. So
It's true, but we haven't asked for proof that they put it in the sacred fund yet either. Because, I mean, the thing about water utility business is you got to have a fund for this, a fund for that, a fund for that. You got so many funds and you can't even keep up with it. But
Question, what if, because I don't know if they've done it, what if it hasn't been being charged?
well, then you got to present that to us at the right time when we talk to you about it, and then we'll do what's fair and reasonable for everybody. We're not about the money. We're about the process and building relationships. So if we're going to spend whatever we spent for this date, $500 isn't going to make any difference to us, honestly. But it's in the contract. We're both living with it. I didn't sign that contract. You didn't either. But we're living with it. But we want to be reasonable and fair. And we got to figure out what y'all need from us. If we can give it to you, help you, share with you, share some expertise we have some of our people do certain things. Going forward, we'll try to do it.
Also, I believe there is some Janaway in our project, and we were talking about, y'all had put a pump next to the dam, and the pump would have a pipeline coming through the corner of our property.
Goes pretty close to your 100-acre site, yes, ma'am.
Yes, and I think there'll be a pump at that point, and then after that, we will be responsible for paying for the pipeline to go from that corner past the sewage plant. Now, out of curiosity, is that true?
Well, in concept, maybe. What it really amounts to is that would be an amendment to implement this contract that said you get the water. What Mr., what's your name? Motley? What Mr. Motley said was that when our guys were designing this thing, we left a slot where you can drop a pump in at the pump station. That's standard practice. The big pump station in Cooper, they left a slot for us. And then you go to the booster pump station, we got 2 slots. We just drop our pumps in. We got to maintain them. Somebody else owns the building, we're maintaining them. Well, so we left a slot for y'all, or basically where you can have your own pump station. But what we came up with, the idea was, hey, we're going right by the city. Why not build it? It's not built yet, but why not design in a stub out, or basically a way to get water to you where you don't have to build a pipeline. I mean, how long is that pipeline, you think? 2 miles, 2.5 miles?
3 miles, maybe.
Okay, you're talking millions of dollars.
That's what I was concerned with.
Okay, don't worry about it. I mean, that's millions of dollars. And the pump, you know how much a pump costs? I mean, it's totally insane what things cost now. Sinfully insane. Okay, so what do? They said, well, you know, you got enough things going on. Why can't we have a stub out here? So what does that mean? Well, we know how to build plants. We know how to operate treatment plants. Our treatment plants are among the most efficient in the nation. They've been recognized. I mean, our membrane plant is recognized as the top plant in 6 states. Our water plant, the best taste of water 3 times in Texas. And we're very fortunate. We got really good people working, and we got a good, stable customers. Okay? So what happens is they came up with the idea to tap this thing off. So what that means is we're pumping. We bring it down. Well, you don't have to go get it. We'll bring it to you if you want to. Boy, that saves you a bunch of money. So some developer shows up, or somebody, and they want to help. You say, show me the money. I mean, there was a good song, I mean, not a song, but a good show. Show me the money. Make them give you the money. We'll build a plant, and then the water's there. It makes it a lot easier than going all the way back up 3 miles to get it. So,
Well, I was told, I believe when we were talking, that the pipes are terribly expensive and that we would be responsible for the pipes from that corner.
well, from to wherever your plant would be, in other words,
Yes.
that's true. That's what the contract says. In other words, but, you know, if I got to pay for a pipeline from here to that back wall versus from here to our field office, that's a big difference. But there-
Also, I was told
Huh?
that we were not, y'all did not want us to sell that property at all where that y'all
Yes.
are renting, and I was
Yeah,
wondering
we're
about
paying
that.
$4,000 a year for that, the use
Yes.
of that site. Well, the thing with that is, it's your land. You do what you want with it. We're suggesting that it has some value to you in the future, or anybody else that might want to put a treatment plant there. So just be cautious about it, because you already own it.
Right. You need to put that treatment plant there and it wouldn't cost you $1 million.
Well, that's true.
That's not true.
Well, I'm not saying it wouldn't cost you $1 million for a
You
plant.
wouldn't be using as much.
You wouldn't have to pay for a pipeline.
You wouldn't have to map it out from the
Right.
There
dam.
to there.
That's
That
true.
is true, but the treatment plant's an entirely different story.
Right, that's
Yeah,
too
treatment
expensive.
plants are very expensive.
Yes.
And they have to have a need. You have to have the need, you have to have the customer base to pay for it. And depending on who wants the water as far as development goes. And our practice has been to work with our members when they have developers and different people that come in. They come through with what they call development agreements. We want this area, we're going to build something. Say, okay, well, it's going to cost a lot of money to serve all that. Where's the money? They give you the money. They go sell bonds. They pay for it, not you. And then that's how you have to do a development agreement. And usually you get one bite at the apple, so you better get all you can get. I mean, that's just the way it works in a lot of the developments. But I think that those are great questions, and there's things that are speculative down the road, maybe long down the road. So you keep your options open, the maximum thing you can. We've done that by giving you 2 ways to get water to meet our commitment to you that we're going to have water for you. But,
But we've got to have water.
excuse me?
But the lake has to have water.
True, absolutely.
So what is the elevation projection for, let's say, the next 10 years? I
We
know
don't know.
y'all done studies.
Well, we've designed it such, and I'll let Ed speak to this. We designed it where the lake, like we say, we're going to start bringing water in to treat. Well, we're not going to treat the full maximum amount that we're authorized day one. We'll a smaller amount, because we have other sources of water. And we designed that intake. I don't know whether we probably don't have, well, we can see. Well, let's see. This structure behind is the intake, and it's a tower. And it has multiple levels, basically openings where water can come through. And then they drop down and it goes through all that other stuff you saw underneath. So we can take water at various levels, either based on water quality issues or where the water is. It's going to start out and it's going to creep its way up. North Texas Municipal Water District has the Boat Arc Lake. This time last year it was 38% full. It's 82% full today. And they're pulling 20 million gallons a day out of that through a treatment plant in Leonard and pumping it to Collin County. So we have the capability to treat some water and pull water out of there, even when it's very low. I mean, Ed, do you recall the numbers? The lake can be, okay, that's another thing. The lake, when it's full, doesn't show here, it is at elevation 551. Okay? The bottom of the channel is at the main channel at the dam, it's probably what, 460, 465, something like that. So there'll be water in the channel long before you see a lake. And we have the capability to pull some water out of there, and we will, just to test it, all those kind of things. So there'll be some water, even for meet your commitment, our commitment to you, whatever it is. But the crazy thing about this is, the pump station. Okay. Anybody want to guess what the elevation is right here? How about 721 versus 723? Either number works. Hey, it's 700 and something. So we're pumping uphill from 551 to 700. You can technically bring water from East Texas and backflow it into this lake. So we got all kinds of, who knows what will happen. I'm not, this is on the camera, I'm not saying I'm doing that. All those guys in Marvin Nichols, this ain't got nothing to do with you, I'm just saying.
First place, current projections are we'll start filling sometime in 25. To get the lake full, it takes, as short as 1 year
to 3,
up to 3 years to get full. But to Larry's point, we can take water when we get basically about 2 good rains, and we'll be able to take water.
but we'll have to be very careful about how we operate. And you say, well, this little spot down here, we don't have to picture that. That's basically a giant bathtub, a giant basin that'll be concrete lined that holds, how many million gallons are we going to store in there? Anybody remember? Huh? 8 million? Okay. So what's that all about? Well, what happens is we bring the water to that point, and then if we have a break in the line or a leak or something, it gives us a little bit of water. But the main purpose is it's higher than the other pipeline, so it has the hydraulic, basically you have enough pressure to overcome the other pipeline to get water injected into this pipeline we have that goes to Chapman and then pumped along over to Louisville. So we're trying to do everything we can that's reasonable, that's less mechanical, that's cheaper to some degree. But that site has capability for more than one basin too. So it'll get, as time goes on, we'll probably make it bigger. Likewise, we already have at our treatment plants in Denton County, we have we know how to operate these things. We have one of those ponds right near our water plant. And there's been times where the pipeline's broken for 3 days. Actually, you've operated longer than that occasionally, maybe up to a week. Nobody knew it because we had a spare. We were taking water out of our emergency pond while we're fixing things. So we put in a lot of safeguards. So back to the point of whether you would have water or not, we would fulfill your commitment the best possible by all these other, we make sure that there's different safeguards that you can get your water if you have treatment to keep steady.
Over your all's commitment?
You would get water before we would. The reason is, we have other capabilities. That water's still got to go a long ways before it gets to us. If that's your only source of treated water, why would we cut you off? If there's any, unless there's total mechanical failures and everything fails, we would try to get you what water we had.
So you're saying that we would override our amount we're able to get on a daily basis would override what y'all are getting.
I'm saying that's our commitment to you, yes. If it's 1 million gallons, you get 1 million, we pump 10 our way, you get 1 million. If that's what it is. Whatever because we have a commitment. Under this contract, you don't have another source of water other than that. We do. We have other options.
I don't see that in the contract.
Well, that means we have to do when we do the amendment, we got to incorporate it in the operating protocol.
Can I ask you about Taylor Street?
Yes, ma'am.
You said a while ago, are you going to, I'm going to call it blacktop?
Yeah.
Okay, blacktop it before while the trucks are still coming through, go deliver the pipes? Or are you going to maintain it? Because you know those trucks is going to tear it up.
Well, you've
Yeah,
spoken to the
so
county,
our-
let Mr. Janeway speak to
Our
it.
agreement with the county is they would go ahead and, he said oil sands when he said in the meeting. I'm not a road guy, but they had that installed this summer, and then they maintain it for the 18 months while we have a contract on it. So it should be now. The only thing that they've said right now is that they don't want to go do that until the water pipe's fixed, because there's no sense in putting the oil sand on top of something that's going to keep on pumping pumps. It just becomes a big washout there. So as soon as that's fixed, it's my understanding they're going to come in and do the oil sand out there. It's not at the end, it's at the beginning.
Are they gonna dig it down here? So.
I didn't, that's the county doing that work. We're not really in charge of how they do it. I don't know, the Commissioner Maggie.
We've just
He knows.
provided funding for them to do it.
Yeah,
We've
we
already
talked to
paid them.
him and you know,
They're kind
committed
of,
there.
they're kind of wanting a commitment from us that the water line is fixed. Well, that's a problem, because we contract for a contractor to make those repairs, and they tell us it's fixed. And it might be fixed for 2 weeks, and it might be fixed for 2 years. We don't do the repairs, so it is an issue.
Well,
I'd say get it fixed and say Commissioner Maggie says fixed. And then
yeah,
get the road
and then we'll have our guys, some of our people go and inspect it too, just to make sure that county, it's ready to go. It looks like it's right to us. Let somebody take care of that.
I was going back to one of the questions you brought up about the water and who gets first water and all that, and he brought up the point of, on our own system, we build in extra capacity of having water stored on site. You've got a 100-acre site there, it may be, for instance, you may be able to, you had a pond sitting next to your, you may have several days or weeks or something of water sitting there.
Yeah, you're
On the side,
designing.
you don't have to take your allocation every day. It may be that you take some in reserve,
Right.
therefore
Kind of
some
like
happens, you're able to do it.
Wolf City
So-
has a water treatment plant. And they have a lake, pond, whatever you want to call it. And sometimes they don't use it because they have a lot of rain and it's turbid and they don't really want to use it. So they use the well. They come back after it's settled out, or maybe they use it during the summer when they need more water. Well, that's the best way to operate with it, have that stored. It's sitting there. Now, there is some evaporation to it because it's open, but it gives you flexibility. So, we might open up the valve, or we would most likely be totally automated. We'd control it and have sensors that tell us when it's open and all that, and how much the flow rate was. And fill up your pond up to some elevation, and then you just pull out of the pond, run your treatment when you need it. Because guys that run treatment plants like to run them pretty steady. They don't like to up and down.
It works well.
No, and then because you have storage, if you got elevated tanks here too, well, you put storage different places, and it's called a clear well. You're well aware of that, and so that floats too. Then it comes nighttime, people stop using so much water, then you recover overnight, just like you do now with your wells. Of course, you got a lot of different things with your wells because of the depth of the well. But anyway, so those are great questions. I give you my first impression. Fully perfected, and we come out in guidelines that we come up with, how we operate together, whenever that may be. But a treatment plant is down the road. You got to have the need, you got to have somebody that wants to pay for it. Otherwise, it's just whoever's, you've got 300 customers. They can't pay for that. We look at the same thing. When we're building treatment plants, we got to look at customers. So we go to the state, try to get as best financing we can. We defer things. We just get what we need. But y'all have to do the same as going forward. But we have done this a lot in different places. So we got a lot of expertise and people that can help you. We can help you in different ways. We have a great relationship with the state Water Development Board, funding-wise. We have several loans. We were actually created by the state as an agency, not a state agency, but a state legislative action. And we utilize the state's Water Development Board funding for the vast majority of our facilities.
You want to speak to the benefit of having that kind of that overall study around the lake in regards to maybe getting a grant or loans from the state with that plan in place that we're doing for them?
Absolutely. We're learning about, I mean, the state just went so-called $32 billion surplus. I'm waiting for my taxes to go down on what everybody else is doing. But take care of the teachers first. My wife's a retired teacher, and I've got a couple of teachers that are my twins, so they need help. Anyway, get them off my payroll. But anyway, there are some documents, and actually, well, Friday we're going to meet with the state. One of the ticklers that I got from the staff was, we need to talk to the head guy who's coming up to visit us Friday about how you can, what can you do to help Ladonia as far as loans, forgiveness of loans, getting grants. I mean, they keep talking this stuff. Well, where is it? How do you do it? Well, guess what? We fill out grant documents all the time. We never get any grants, but we get loans. So I can commit to assist y'all in putting the paperwork together. And we got to fund it too. Say again?
We got to pay for them too.
Well, hey, if we're going to be partners, why can't we help you a little bit? It ain't no big deal. It ain't no big deal. It's not, a big lift. We got people that are expert at this, and they actually dictate to the state, fill the form out right. They keep changing. Our people, the crazy thing about Lake Ralph Hall, you know what the most crazy thing is? Besides me? The team we started with is the same one you see. This guy, myself, we started this project. And he went to another consulting company, and staff comes in, hey, Ed went to another consultant. So what does that mean? I said, we just hired another consultant. He ain't leaving this job till we get the dang thing done. So then he finishes up and retires from them. Guess what? Now he works for him. Ronna Hart here, she got here in 08 and immediately said, hey, you know what an environmental impact statement is? No. Great, I don't either. Here, do it. And they have done it. And it totally crazy amount of work that we put into it. And, I keep saying, look, keep our eye on the objective, the goal, but be happy about every little progressive step you make, every satisfaction of completing this task, that task, and eventually you get there. Don't get frustrated because all this great stuff's going to happen way out here, and everybody keeps saying it's all great, but it looks real scary. But if you just look at what you're going to do right now, and I got it done, okay, I turn that paperwork in, we go to the next step, the next step. There's a lot of things, if we know you need help, or we know how we can help you, we can say, well, here's 5 things, we don't even know how to do these 3, we can do these 2, and can we do it next week? Yep, we'll do it. We got people, we have staff, full-time staff, they're in this building. We got other people that we send up here. And we have capability to do Zoom. We can do a lot of things that will help the city. And I've made my board officers aware that we need to do that. And they're saying, figure it out, come back and tell us what they need. And that's what I'm here for. And we will do it. It may not be perfect. We may suck a little bit. We'll make you mad sometimes. We'll be confused and do the wrong thing. But our intent and our desire to do the right thing will be there every time. Guaranteed. But the whole decision's about all this stuff. And I'll mention something that we're not here to talk about Hickory Creek. So we don't know zip about Hickory Creek. So they made one contact. I think Mr. Janeway said, hey, can we meet? He said, no. Our partner is Ladonia. We got to meet with Ladonia. Talk to them. We're not going to meet with you guys before we'd ever meet with Ladonia. And besides that, guess what? It's a community and council decision, not ours. Whatever y'all come up with, we'll make the best of it and we'll move forward in a positive, constructive manner. That's our objective. It ain't our dog. We're not in that fight. We're impacted by it. We know that we have rights to the water in the contract, how the authorities on who gets it, that kind of thing.
And surface water.
Yes, sir. And that's all we're talking about. So if it breaches or basically conflicts with our understanding of our contract with y'all, we're out there up close and personal. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But that's y'all's decision, not ours. We're not going to tell you right, wrong, indifferent. we can tell you that you have value, your system has value. There's all kinds of rules you got to go through with the state, all that kind of stuff. We know that. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because everybody else is thinking about it right now. That's the elephant in the room. We ain't got nothing to do with that because we've never been Hickory Creek Sud. We're not going to meet with them until there's a reason for meeting with them. And or they have some involvement maybe with our water supply study. They're meeting with other people. Who knows? So anyway, I just want to get that out of the way. But it's not our decision. We're not going to put our thumb on the scale and push anybody around and tell you what to do. Because it's y'all's decision, not ours. That may not be good news or that may be great news. I don't know. But it's just a position that I'm taking.
My biggest worry is the elevation of the water that we're gonna have. We know the weather, I mean, this depends on the weather 100%.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, you're sitting here telling me that, you are gonna commit to feeding us water first, but there again, it's hard to get water out of mud.
If it's available, if there's any in there.
So let me answer that. So, first place, when our water rights permit is based on a yield study for reservoir. And that's based on the hydrologic record.
Right.
Goes back.
And they run the hydrologic model, and they said, okay, we can draft 39,000 acre feet of this reservoir, and through the drought of record, it won't go dry.
This means like about 7 years and all of a sudden it fills up.
Right. So through the drought of record, it won't go dry. So as long as we don't draft more than 39,000 acre feet, theoretically, and future looks like history, we won't let it go dry. We also have a drought contingency plan, which says how we operate this reservoir. So we don't, if it gets so low, we quit drafting at that. So we let it, so that's our safety factor. So the other numbers are, here's the other numbers, is 50% of the time, this lake is going to be within its top 5 feet. 75% of the time, it's going to be within the top 10 feet.
And at the dam, it's 90 feet deep.
And that study is for what kind of period of time?
Goes back to
From now on?
1950.
No, I understand. We're talking about like from today, projection.
Then, we don't know what the future is.
I understand.
All we can do is look at history. So that looks at the period of record from 1940 to about 2000. Well, basically 2000, that's when we ran.
And just updated, it's what's called the water availability model. And we actually hired the guy that created the model for the state. His name's Bob Brandis, expert in this. And they came up with that. This lake is different than the Bodark Lake or others because we're way up the watershed. We're way up. Here's the watershed. We're way up here. We're not down here like there. They're at the point where it goes to the Red River, essentially. So they got water coming in all the time. Well, they have a lot of different requirements than we do of how they operate it. We're going to be careful about how they operate it. The bestest thing we can do is not overdraft and get the lake stable. We don't want the shoreline to go erode and up and down. We're going to have vegetation around it. We have requirements, which I shared, I think, with the zoning committee. I think you received some of the permitting things that show about the buffers, riparian zones we've got planned around tributaries where the state said, hey, don't build anything 25 feet here or 50 feet or whatever it varies. But anyhow, so like I say, we got more than one source of water. We are intent to keep this thing operating at the best level we can because it behooves us not to have this thing going up and down all the time. Now Chapman Lake, okay, everybody, Cooper, whatever, everybody goes, hey, look over there. You guys got your straw on that one, don't you? Yeah. We're minority partner, 10.99%. Well, they authorize 45,000 we can take every year if we want to. So they authorize about 30% more than the firm yield. But we know that if you do that every year, the jig's up. When it's like having a savings account, pulling out $100 every month, pretty soon, where did my money go? So we know that we're not going to do that.
But to the point though, is the way that zones are created are the same way every reservoir in the state of Texas is created. That was the state of the art, how you size and pick what you can draw from the reservoir.
Are there other questions from the council?
So even though the lake's dry, you still got your reservoir over there.
Well, we have water that we take from two different lakes in the Louisville area. Ray Roberts and Louisville have that. We have Lake Chapel. We also have the rights to reuse water because we have 2 water treatment plants and 4 wastewater treatment plants. So the water from the wastewater treatment plants is discharged back into the lake about 20 miles away from all of it, and we have our intake.
The good stuff.
Well, we produce high quality effluent, I guarantee you. You look at green, clear water going in the green water. But anyway, we get the right to reuse. In other words, claim credit for what we're putting back in the lake. So if we bring 10 over from East Texas, then the next day we bring 10, we can pull 16 out. And we have a counting system that we share with Dallas and Denton and Corbin and everybody. And so, and also we have places where we take the effluent out of the wastewater treatment plant and send it to a golf course so that they use it to irrigate their golf course so they don't have to use the good water, technically good water that we spend a lot of money treating again in the water plant. And it makes us have a lot of smaller pipes and everything like that.
I was going to
Yeah.
add that, when they're permitting the lake, and maybe this will have your, so whenever we go to the state to permit the lake, we have to prove it's a reliable source of water for the people in Denton County we're serving. Otherwise, the state wouldn't let you have that, they wouldn't let you rely on that if it wasn't reliable. So that's a large population that's having to rely on this water. Right here, we have to prove it up, and that's what the model is showing that Ed's talking about.
Yeah.
Is that is a reliable source of water that essentially won't go dry, because you can't have the population growth in Denton County without a reliable source of water. It's like, it can't go dry for 400,000 people.
No.
That's different than a small area, so.
We have all kinds of
It's supposed to be
plans. And there
reliable.
again, the amount of water, that 5% we're talking about, far exceeds, what you could imagine anytime soon. I mean, we're talking 70,000 gallons a day. 5% of that, me. I mean, that's a big difference. So there's a lot of growth in the plant. Any plant that might be built here would probably be a smaller plant and then, grow as it needs to be. They design it where they can add on to it. But, are there other questions from the council? If there's things that come up that y'all want to think about, that can put a report, seek information, or something we haven't shared. I think we have copies of the presentation, so y'all can take it back and one for the attorney or whatever. But we appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk a little bit, or stand up and talk, whatever, and share this information. Let's see, here's, you got, okay, this would be city attorney. Here's an extra copy for the file. But, it's a work in progress. We never built a lake. We operate water provided by lakes built by Corps of Engineers. And this is not a Corps of Engineer lake. That's great because we have the capability to work with y'all to figure out how to develop around the lake and everything else, work with the county. If you were we have the capability to have a fossil park. If somebody wants to go in there and hunt fossils, if it's a federal project, no touching. You can look at it, put it back down and walk away. We haven't done all this. This is, fossil park is something else that we intend to build. Now recently, we took a look, we just did a little bit of maintenance over here, fossil park, mowed the grass and cleaned up some stuff. So we're going to keep our eyes, help out when we can, because we found out, hey, in the past, we've never really been involved with that other than we built the new fossil park temporarily. We need to take a look and clean it up. And Mr. Janeway, I think, is sending some information to you. Whatever fossil park we come up with, it's not intended to say, hey, here's a fossil park, dump it on. Whatever you were doing before is what we were hoping for going forward. And there's things that we'd have to do to operate, clean, and maintain. We'll figure that out in our amendments, our agreements, going forward, guidelines, how we're going to operate together. once we get the thing put in. And we're still citing that thing, trying to figure out, but it's going to be around 904. And then we're going to try to figure out how to make it safe and easy as possible to get into hunt fossils. Because people see Ladonia as a great place for fossils. And what my vision for this project was that there would be all kinds of neat things to do up there. I mean, and to see and do and go through, and everybody goes, man, that's cool. I mean, we had an intern that joined us last year. The next thing you know, he's on the front page helping get up that mosasaur. How many interns who went to college get put on the front page of Dallas Morning News? He's turned back to his profession. He got an A, by the way. And now he's graduated and he's got him a big job. But there's so many neat things about Ladonia and this whole Fannin County area that people have no clue about. But y'all do. That's why you're here, I guess. Or you grew up here, you see things. You know, bug tussle. Everybody goes, I want to go to bug tussle. Well, get in line. Everybody wants to sign it there. Or take a picture of it. I had a picture of our board in 03. First time they came through here, they all wanted to get a picture. So, let's rejoice in what is good about this project. Let's try to work together to maintain it and make it as best as we can. And let's all get along as best we can. Now, we're committed to work and support Ladonia. We don't know how, all the ins and outs yet, but we have the capability to do a lot of good things for y'all. It will help us too, and so will it. Just keep us informed. And I don't guess I got anything else to say, other than thanks again.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second?